What's up, guys? Air Codes here. Going on another walk. Weather's getting warm. It's kind of hot out here. It's like 90 degrees. But going anyways. It's been a few weeks. This is my last video, which also means it's been a few weeks since I've last really gotten out like I wanted to. So I'm going to try to get back into the swing of this and keep posting videos because it's good for me to get out and walk around. Any programmers out there know that once you make the switch to this career, it's pretty sedentary. You sit around a lot. So today, what I want to talk about for programmers out there is you need to learn to read code. Now, that might sound silly to maybe more experienced developers, but I think to beginners, even starting to get towards mid-level developers, I don't know if they understand how important it is for you to be able to read code. Now, there's a couple reasons I say that's a super important thing. The first reason of which is because when you first start programming, you're writing all the code, right? So you're taking whatever you're thinking and the way that you think and programming that to make it work. And that's only one way of doing it. It's your way. I'm sure, as you continue to gain experience, you learn that there's about 1,000 different ways to do the same task in programming. Things can happen at different times in programming, right? It might not be exactly the logical way you think it makes sense. It could be somebody else that does that. So what I'm getting at is, it's great to know what you're doing and how to program, but you're only going to learn the one way. By that, I mean your way. And when you get a job, you're going to come into a code base that probably isn't coded the way you would code it. Fact of life. One of the things, I'm so happy we finally got our code base in Git. So that was great because for the longest time, we were just making backup files. And those backup files, it's well and good, it leaves a whole slew of problems, right? Because we have 3 programmers now. Originally it was 1, then I came in, and then 6 months later, we got a 3rd programmer because the company's growing. And we're all making changes all the time, and we're stepping on each other. So we finally got it into version control, and now it's more cohesive. I know what's been changed, I know what's been committed, I can see what's going on. So it's not perfect, but at least there's version control and there's tracking. But my point of the matter is, when you come into a code base, it could be coded by the current programmer, it could be the programmer before that programmer, it could be 10-year legacy code, right? Where there's an old version, like for me, it's an older version of PHP. I don't have PHP 8. And there's some functions in PHP 8 I really want. Especially when it comes to like seeing if a string contains something. Can't remember what it's called in PHP 8, but there's a function where it can return true or false if a string contains something. And the old way to do it is to use string position, string of POS, and then you pass a string, and then you pass what you're looking for, and that you have to say is true or false. So, again, a little inconvenient, but you still get around it. But my point is, you need to be able to read the code and understand what it's doing. Today, I was working in this, what we call advanced search, and basically, it's a way for a company to look at all the data that's in the database. And it gives the user front-end ability to pick the fields from the database, labeled in an understandable way for them. So they can pick different fields. And then once these reports are run, there's different things you could do with them. Some of them have buttons, and the button will do some sort of thing or whatever it is. So getting into the weeds on it, but it is by far my least favorite thing to have to touch in our code base. And I have to get on there a lot. But what I realized was part of the reason I hated it so much was because it was written in a way that was not conducive to the way that I program. So, and I think it's because originally it was for maybe 1 or 2 reports. And then one report needed an extra, an extra little thing here and that one. And so there were exceptions made along the way to handle each of those individual exceptions. And this thing grew to astronomical proportions. But what I'm getting at is I spent the time to really learn what it's doing. Because when you look at it, it's overwhelming. There's, so many if statements. If post, search by equals this. Or if post preset equals that. And I decided, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna find out what each of these things are. So I went into the browser, went into the page, opened up the browser tools, right-clicked on everything, and found out what all these things were. What they were named and what all the inputs were named. So once I took the time to do that and see, okay, preset stands for the preset reports. And if that preset is selected, search what might get changed in JavaScript to something else. And search what has a filter on it. And depending on what the search what is, might have different database stuff on it. So again, not ideal, not the way I would program it, but at least I understand it now. So my point of that is I had to learn how to read it. And the better you can read code, the better programmer you're going to become. So you want to learn how to read code. So again, first reason is that when you come into your job, being able to read the code is going to make you a much better programmer. Now, a lot of people go like, oh, well, I don't really need to be able to read code as much anymore because of AI. Well, that's the other thing, okay? You also need to be able to read code because of AI. AI does not have the context that you have as a programmer. What do I mean by that? First of all, the file I had, like I said, it was like 4,000 or 5,000 lines. No way that you're gonna have enough token space to throw that into any AI and have it return, what you want. Same thing goes for even the integrated ones like Cursor and all those. I don't think they're gonna have the context that you're going to need to be able to code properly. So even when you send something, even if it's a snippet, and you're having an issue with a snippet, and you send that snippet to the AI is gonna spit back something because AI is a know-it-all. It pretends that it knows exactly what you're talking about, even when it doesn't. And again, that's when we have hallucinations, right? It hallucinates because it doesn't have the context, or it doesn't have it in its model to understand what you mean, so it just makes something up because it will never say, oh, I don't know. So when AI returns that stuff, you need to be able to read through it and actually see what it's doing, what the code is doing. If it's notorious AI for changing variable names just because it wants to, right? Or making things up, or making functions that you don't need, or functions that you already have, right? Completely useless for what your actual application is. And then you need to remember too that when you say call this, say you have something that's working on the front end to do an API call, right? The AI has no idea what /do this.php is, right? It just doesn't. It doesn't know what the code's in there. It can try to make a guess as to what you're sending. If you're sending a post request with the fetch API, right? And you have your method and your body, and it might try to understand what you're doing. because most of the time when you're sending the body, you're going to do something with it. But it doesn't know if you're going to be updating. It doesn't know if you're going to be adding. It doesn't know what you need to update. It could be 6 or 7 things in the database based on what you're sending. You need to be update. AI doesn't know. So it's crucial that you're able to read it and be able to either A, change it so that it works for you, or B, if you understand it and it didn't give you what you want, to prompt it again and give it clarification. Again, that all comes from being able to read code. Knowing how to code and being able to read code and react to code is a completely different thing. So I think that's a super important skill. And as you grow as a developer, you're gonna get better and better at it. And eventually, you'll be able to look at a code block, and just by the way it looks, be able to know, like, oh yeah, no, that's not what I'm looking for. You'll be able to, scroll right by it. I used to wonder how better developers than me were able to do that, and now I can do that. I can look and see, oh no, that's not what I want, and you just kind of scroll right by. And then you learn how to use the IDE to find more what you're looking for, and sift through all the different stuff to make you a more productive and a faster developer. So I think that's where I'm going to end this video, a little bit shorter today. But again, learn to read code. Take the time. Stop throwing everything to AI and just blindly copying and pasting. Or if you're old school, stop going to Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow, I don't like that place, but there is still some good answers up there for you. Stop just going up there blindly copying and pasting, because you're never going to learn. And I think as AI gets better, the programmers that know how to read code and the programmers that can guide AI, or programmers that can fix AI code and debug AI code, they are going to be the ones that have jobs even higher paying than they currently have. And it's going to be a tough road for the juniors out there. Junior developers are going to have a real hard time getting jobs, because AI is doing most of the code monkey stuff, and that's kind of where you start as a junior developer, and you learn from there. But I don't know where that's going to go for juniors moving forward. But if I'm a junior, I'm spending all my time not using AI to write code or to read code. I'm doing it myself and understanding it. Or if I am using AI, I'm using it as a learning tool, to telling it to explain things to me so I better understand. Because unless you know how to do this stuff, you're not going to have a future in programming. So anyways, unless you want to stay at the junior level, in which case you could just go ahead and prompt AI and just know how to write prompts. But still, I think the more you can read code, better code you're going to write, the better your career is going to be, the more money you're going to make. So that's my take. This is Eric Codes. Have a good one, everyone. Talk to you soon.